We just got our first official trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness ahead of Super Bowl 56. There were some concept art leaks going around online containing a certain character, and after watching this trailer it confirms that this character is indeed going to be in the film. Welcome to the Impractical show, your new favourite place for TV and film breakdowns. My name is Kyle, and after watching this trailer too many times to count, it still blows me away every single time. There's even details in the poster. What can happen in the MCU is limitless after what they pulled off in the events of No Way Home, and I personally think the cameos and references inside this film are going to blow people away even more. But we only have just over 2 minutes of the film so far, and I'm going to break that down for you. So without any more explanation, let's get into the first clip.
Every night, I dream the same dream. And then... the nightmare begins.
So the trailer opens with Strange in this dream realm, and the floor is absolutely littered in human remains. Now in the middle of this shot we can actually see the Sanctum, but it's not the normal Sanctum. This Sanctum is skinnier and has an extra floor, giving it that long, creepy, dark look. Now if you look closer at the scene, we can actually see this red glowing ring in the background, and that could be Wanda's chaos energy. Giving Strange a closer look, he has a different cape on. This cape actually has a blue patch on it, and I think this blue patch is there to represent the contrast between Wanda and Doctor Strange throughout this film. Now as we know, Wanda has a lot of red tones in her character, and throughout this film we actually see a lot of blue tones being used for Doctor Strange. We then get a closer look at the doors of this Sanctum as they swing open, revealing the exact opposite to what we saw in the teaser. The shot also shows us a look at the stairs with a few things that are changed. This staircase never ends, and on the banisters we actually see two completely new statues which have never been there before. And behind this staircase we see where it's leading, and that looks like in the middle of that red ring of chaos energy we saw earlier. A teacup shatters in front of what looks like a very old wheelchair, and then some yellow lightning attacks Camouflage. America Chavez is then strung up with what looks like the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak, which is the same spell that Doctor Strange used on Thanos in Infinity War to restrain him. Now this leads me to believe that this monster could indeed be Cyttorak himself. But the main part here is the blue star portals behind America, and I believe this could be the Utopian Parallel, which is America's home universe. America Chavez got her powers when the Utopian Parallel faced absolute destruction from some open rifts. Her mothers then sacrificed themselves to seal these rifts, and their particles spread throughout the multiverse. America opened a portal to flee and landed on the Earth that we know. After this scene, it looks like everyone gets sucked in, and we see a Defender Strange with a ponytail getting sucked through this portal. This then links up with Doctor Strange waking up from his bed, but this time Doctor Strange doesn't have any scars on his hands, which are meant to be forever scarred. This has me asking, is this our Doctor Strange that we know? Is this his universe that he's waking up to? Or is this part of the dream that he keeps on having? On to the next clip.
I did what I had to do.
This trailer has a different Marvel Studios title card. This time we see it turn purple as silver cartoon style tentacles sweep across it. Now these tentacles mirror the same limbs as Gargantos, which we see in this trailer, and the tentacle creatures in What If. This also links with the cartoon style of the title card itself, the melting Sanctum that we saw earlier, and in the poster there's a hidden detail which we see Captain Carter's shield. Now this could be teasing Haley Atwell's live action appearance as Captain Carter. Steven then uses the Darkhold to summon and look through these red orbs, similar to how Wanda did at the end of the WandaVision show. The Darkhold is basically the MCU's version of the Book of the Damned, and we first see it in the WandaVision series, where Agatha Harkness uses it before Scarlet Witch, before she took it for her own. Now my theory on what's happening in this scene is that each of these red orbs actually represents its own universe, and then when Doctor Strange finds the specific one, it looks like a figure appears with red hair. I think this is Wanda, which is why we then see Strange slam all of these orbs into the book as if he's trying to hide it from who's in the room. Now I think he's trying to hide a specific thing or location from Wanda in this clip. On to the next part.
To protect our world.
You cannot control everything, Strange. You opened the doorway between universes, and we don't know who or what will walk through it.
In this part of the trailer, when Strange is talking to Wong, we do see that Strange has the Eye of Agamotto again, which was actually crushed by Thanos. Now Strange did have the eye in No Way Home, so this could actually show you how he got it back. We then see some more of the world with all of the wisps coming off of the buildings, just like in What If. Now these wisps appear in What If from a reality where Doctor Strange pushed magic beyond an absolute point. With that, these wisps being here in this reality could tell us that Doctor Strange has indeed pushed his magic beyond an absolute point in the MCU. These black strands could also relate to the dark timeline that the Ancient One explained to Bruce during Endgame. Related to that, throughout this clip, we do hear Wong tell Strange that he cannot control everything. He also tells Strange that he opened a portal between worlds. Now, I think this is a reference to the events of No Way Home, which is where the absolute point could have been broken. On to the next clip.
Wanda, what do you know about the multiverse?
Viz had his theories. He believed it was dangerous.
He was right.
This clip shows us Scarlet Witch performing some kind of meditation ritual in the courtyard of Kamar-Taj. Now we know this is Kamar-Taj because of the statues behind her, and the tiles she's performing this ritual on are actually tiles that we see Rintrah standing on earlier on in the trailer. Now if you don't know who Rintrah is, I will be making a series of YouTube shorts explaining who characters from TV and film are, so make sure you subscribe to see that. As we see Scarlet Witch meditating, she does look different to when we last saw her at the end of WandaVision. The differences are that this suit now has sleeves, and on her chest it looks like there are cracks coming from her heart. Now as the camera zooms in, we do see her fingernails are darkening. This also happened to Agatha Harkness when she used her black magic. Now I think this is happening due to the corruption from the chaos magic that Scarlet Witch is using. I feel like throughout this film, we might see Scarlet Witch attacking Kamar-Taj. This is because in a TV spot, we do see the sorcerers raising their shields to a figure that is floating and that also has a cape. Now I have a different theory who that character might be, related to someone we see later on in the trailer. On to one of the brighter scenes of this trailer. We do see Doctor Strange visiting Wanda on her orchard, where they talk about the Vision's theory of the multiverse. Now personally, I think this orchard is a complete illusion. We do see Doctor Strange later in the trailer with the exact same hairstyle and the exact same clothes on, but the context is slightly darker. Carrying on with the trailer.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Your desecration of reality will not go unpunished.
In this part of the trailer, we do see Doctor Strange bring America and Christine to the place where we saw America strung up earlier. Now here we see that Christine is in slightly different clothes to what we're used to seeing her in. I think this is a variant of Christine that works in the Illuminati headquarters. This is because in a TV spot, we do see Christine in these clothes plus a lab coat in the containment area of the Illuminati headquarters. We then see Baron Mordo for the first time since 2016's Doctor Strange standalone film. I think this could be a different variant of Mordo, where he actually became the Sorcerer Supreme of this universe. This also ties into one of the theories I have for the next segment of the trailer. Staying with this segment of the trailer though, we do see Doctor Strange being put in some high-tech handcuffs. These handcuffs are super cool because in the centerpiece that rotates, we actually see some runes. Now I'm not sure if these are Eldritch runes that keep them closed, but we do see some green containers on these handcuffs, and I think these are full of something to stop magic being effective. Getting closer to the next segment, we do see 4 Ultron sentries. Now these Ultron sentries aren't the same as we saw them in Age of Ultron, as they have yellow eyes. And these Ultron sentries are leading Doctor Strange through a lobby. This lobby has 4 winged statues and a main feature of a figure with a sword inside a ring. Finally, on to the next segment.
We should tell him the truth.
Now this is easily the biggest part of the trailer, and it confirms everything that was in the leaks. We see a figure come onto camera with no hair and hear Patrick Stewart's voice. Now if you don't know, Patrick Stewart plays Professor Charles Xavier in the Fox X-Men films. This crossover could mean that the 2000 X-Men movie is actually the first movie in the MCU. But if Professor Charles Xavier is in this film, it also relates to who I think the floating person could also be. I think this floating person could be Magneto, because wherever Charles goes, Magneto has to be. Sadly though, I think this is more likely Scarlet Witch, because we do actually see Scarlet Witch performing the ritual here. But An even bigger thing that this appearance could mean is that this council that we see Doctor Strange walking up to is the Marvel's Illuminati. Now, the members of the Illuminati in the comic books consisted of Professor X, Reed Richards or Mr. Fantastic, Namor, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Tony Stark, and it was initially meant to be Black Panther in there too. This version of the Illuminati could actually have Baron Mordo as the Sorcerer Supreme instead of Doctor Strange. This could also mean that other members of this Illuminati from the comic book could be played by completely different versions of the character. Now, in this shot of Strange walking up to the Illuminati Council, we actually do see 5 chairs, and it looks like in the middle there is space for an extra one, maybe a less permanent one such as Professor X's wheelchair. Now, in these chairs we actually do see 3 figures. We can see that the person walking behind the chairs is Mordo because of the cane he has on his back and the robes he is wearing. Now, there are 2 people that the one on the left could actually be. If you look closer, it looks as if this character is wearing Black Panther's necklace, so it could be Black Panther. But another person it could be is in fact Reed Richards or Mr. Fantastic. But I don't think the arms of this character are beefy enough to be John Krasinski's variant of Reed Richards. Now, the third and final person we can see in this shot is actually seated and hooded. I am not aware of any of the members of the Illuminati from the comic books having a hooded suit at any point, so I'm really not sure who this could be. Now, this does leave the other chairs empty. The Ultron sentries we saw earlier do have yellow eyes, and we have not seen Ultron sentries yet with the same color eyes. We have only seen red and blue so far. So this means someone completely new could be in control of these sentries. Now, the sentries even being here is a pointer as to who's in control. I think this is a reality that Doctor Strange has seeped into, where Tony Stark has achieved a suit of armor around the world. So I personally think one of these seats is going to be filled by Superior Iron Man. Now, Tom Cruise has been rumored, not confirmed, to be playing Iron Man in this movie for a while now. I hope that if Superior Iron Man does come with Tom Cruise playing him, they don't overstep Robert Downey Jr.'s character in any way. Now we've had a big part of the trailer, onto a slightly weirder section.
Things just got out of hand.
Now, after watching that again with me, I hope you can agree that it's definitely the weirdest part of the trailer. We see Strange and America Chavez go to a Jurassic Park universe where a T-Rex and a Triceratops are fighting, and then straight after they smash into a cartoon universe, which looks like something to do with What If. Now, if this is the What If cartoon universe, this could open the door for Captain Carter to come into live action, which also relates to the shield we see in the poster. Now, just after they come out of the What If cartoon universe, they fall into the Minecraft universe, where they both explode into cuboid shapes. This resembles a variant cover for the House of M comic book, which a lot of people has suspected this film to be an adaptation of. After his little trip through the multiverse, you then see Strange come across an eviler, darker looking Strange in a very, very crippled Sanctum. Now, behind them both you can see a big white portal, which I think could be a portal out of the dream realm we saw at the start of the trailer. And if it is that, this could be how the Dark Strange, or Strange Supreme from What If, comes into reality. On to the next part of the trailer.
You break the rules. Look out! To become a hero. I do it, I become the enemy.
Now, that segment is definitely where the action picks up. We see Wanda invading the Illuminati HQ, fighting someone who looks to have the same powers as Captain Marvel. Now, I say someone with the same powers as Captain Marvel and not Captain Marvel because this looks like someone of color with a womanly figure. And I personally suspect this to be a variant of Captain Marvel. Now, I know I keep bringing this up, but if Mordo has replaced Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme and taken his place in the Illuminati, I think this could easily be Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel. Now, I'm adamant Captain Marvel, or at least some kind of variant of her, will be in this movie because you can see her logo hidden in one of the shards in the poster, much like Captain Carter's shield. If this character is indeed Captain Marvel, they could easily fill the gap in the last chair. Now, people have been suspecting this could also be Monica Rambeau, where in the WandaVision series, she split into a few personalities, and they think that one could branch into this reality and become Captain Marvel. But sadly, I think it's more likely to be Maria Rambeau, her mum, because it's easy to replace the position where Maria and Carol were when the Tesseract explosion happened, which gave Captain Marvel her powers. Now, some other people are thinking this is Tom Cruise as Superior Iron Man with some movie magic to cover up who he actually is. Again, it could be Superior Iron Man, because whoever they are, they look like they're protecting the Illuminati HQ. But again, it's more likely Maria unless Tom Cruise has been hit in the squat rack. We then see Camouflage surrounding the Black Storm, which look like being attacked by meteors. This is also seen from another angle, which is actually the same room that the Ancient One and Doctor Strange meet back in the 2016 film. And here we can find America and Master Hamir. We then get our first look in this trailer at Gargantos throwing a bus at Doctor Strange and America Chavez. We then get our other light tone scene from this trailer, where Doctor Strange looks up at a clean shaven version of himself as a statue outside what looks to be a utopian New York Sanctum. Now in this scene behind Doctor Strange and the statue, we can actually see white flowering trees. These trees look exactly the same as the ones in Wanda's orchard. Now I like this shot because it shows the Sanctum in very light tones, which completely contrasts how we saw the Sanctum right at the very start of the trailer. Next clip.
It doesn't seem fair.
Now we get another shot that brings Disney Plus shows into the MCU. We see two different Wandas in the Westview house from the WandaVision series. Now one of these Wandas is all suited and booted in Scarlet Witch garb, and the other one is in comfy clothes and barefoot, which leads me to believe this is her house. And if you look around, the house is absolutely destroyed. I think that the Scarlet Witch could have come to this universe's version of Westview to take the kids away, but got in a fight with this universe's Wanda. This would then lead Scarlet Witch to not being able to take the sons back because they don't exist, and collapsing as we see here. The music drops and we see Mordo attacking Doctor Strange, but I think this could actually be Mordo releasing Strange in the events of the attack on the HQ. We then get snapped back to Camouflage to see it get absolutely blown to smithereens by some kind of explosion, and then we see what looks like in one of the lower levels America Chavez fighting someone or something. While the trailer is on the topic of explosions, we actually see another one where it looks to be a mix between Scarlet Witch's chaos magic and Captain Marvel's photon energy. This explosion sends whoever it may be attacking Scarlet Witch flying across the atrium of the Illuminati HQ. Then we got taken to another Gargantos scene where he is fighting an unknown sorcerer who's wielding some eldritch lasso. Then we see Wanda aiming chaos magic straight at the camera. Now here it looks like she's actually in the Illuminati HQ, and if you look closely behind her you can see shattered glass, which leads me to believe it's behind the explosion we just saw. Another thing is the very obvious blood all over her clothes and face. The camera then zooms into her eye, revealing the main focus of her being at the Illuminati HQ. Inside the vision are two holding cells, which looks to be where Doctor Strange and America were held. This also could be where the Illuminati is holding her two sons in this universe. Now if Wanda and Vision's sons are being kept in two adjacent cells, this would mirror exactly how Wanda and Pietro grew up in their cells, and would also be the reason why she flipped and attacked the Illuminati HQ. Now let's get to the final clip. Now this final clip opens with Wong hanging from a snowy mountaintop where we actually see a zombie Strange. Wong hanging onto the clip does call for a Strange, but is this for this version of Strange, or maybe to snap another version of Strange out of a trance of some sort? The zombie version of Strange does look like he is controlling or trying to tame the MCU's version of the Dementors, and they look to be made out of the same stuff as the wisps coming off the buildings are. Now with all the snow and the dark, bland textures, we could also assume that this is the same universe as the eroding reality. Now in the TV spot we also see this zombie Strange looking across the mountain at a mysterious wing-shaped figure. This figure could be who the statues in the Illuminati HQ is based off of, and if it was Professor X that we saw earlier, this could also mean other mutants are in this universe, leading to this wing-shaped figure being Angel. Now I bring up the zombie in the TV spot because we also see a zombie version of Wanda Maximoff, and both Strange and Wanda had zombie forms in the What If series. The last shot we get in this trailer shows the undead Strange finally harnessing the power of these demons in the shape of wings. We also see their arms fanning out behind him, much like Doctor Strange's images of Icon in Infinity War. Then at the very end we do get the third design of the title so far, which symbolizes the many realities phased through in this movie. If you enjoyed this video, I'll be covering everything Multiverse of Madness and more on this channel, so subscribe and hit that notification bell to make sure you stay up to date with my posts. If you do want to see more of me or talk to me about this or any of my other videos, I do stream live at twitch.tv/impracticaltv. Thank you for exploring this trailer with me, see you in the next video, and as always, ciao for now.